Hi everyone, welcome to the World Radio and TV Handbook 80th 2026 edition via the web app. Now, you guys all know my feelings on the World Radio and TV Handbook. I've been saying it for years. It's the one volume of broadcast information that you can always rely on. I've always found it to be the most accurate body of broadcast sort of schedule information, frequency information, etc., etc. And I'm not going to keep going on about that because that's a given. A lot of you will also be aware that the Gunter and the team at the RDC made a decision 3 or 4 years ago to continue publishing the World Radio and TV Handbook, for which we are all very grateful, but then at the end of last year, or at some point last year, decided that it was no longer commercially viable to do so via printed book, which is, in my opinion, and I know a lot of you, a real shame. But I'm sort of conflicted because on one hand, yeah, I'm very sorry to think that I'll never hold the book in my hand again beyond 2026, but at the same time, I'm very, very grateful to Gunter and the team because they believe in the publication, but it only makes sense to continue in digital format, of which there are two: the web app, which is what you're looking at, and then the ebook version. I tend to use my Google Chrome as the web browser I use the most, although I do use Microsoft Edge as well. I've got this open in Chrome. What you start with, actually, so it's laid out in the same format as the book, but on the bookshelf here, you see everything that you have access to, or what you have access to in terms of a download. So WRTH 2026 web app, I've got access to that. And then if you had access to the ebook, you can do that through here, or get a download link, etc., etc. And there's a couple of other bits and pieces. The WRTH 2025 ebook with the summer schedules, because as you know, that gets dated in the year. So first thing to do is to click the web app 2026, and the first thing you see is a map of the world. And this is actually really clever because what you can do is, if, for example, if I wanted to know what was being broadcast in the UK, for example, I can just double click the UK on the map, and all of that broadcast information is kind of like listed. So starting at 198 BBC Radio 4 from Droitwich, and it just keeps going through the medium wave band, and then it all the way to the end, and then FM, everything on FM, and then the all the MUX information for DAB Plus is in there, and then links to actual separate stations. So if I go to BBC Radio Oxford and click that, then you get more information, including web access to various information pertaining to that station. So it's really straightforward in that term. So using the map, and then click the back arrow, which you can't see, but I'm clicking the back arrow on my web browser to go back to the map. And you can literally do that for any country in the world where they've got data in the book. So if we click the United States, that actually might take a while to load, actually. Okay. Here we go. Come on. Oh, you need to double click. Not click. Single click doesn't work. It's got to be a double click. And there you go. And you've got a huge amount of information on broadcasting national radio in the United States. So let's go to the first section of the book, features and reviews, and here they all are. So the book always starts with an editorial. So we click on editorial, and there it is, with Gunter and Oliver looking very smart. And it's exactly the same information as you get in the book. Click the back arrow on that, and then all the information on the contributors. So this year they featured Frederick Duran, and then there's the usual Hall of Fame, etc. So click the back arrow on my browser again, and then go to reviews. And if those of you who've got the book know that there are 5 reviews for some hardware. The first is the Jaguar SDR software. This is kind of like the post-processing software. I think I've used Jaguar before. Again, exactly the same as the information in the book. And then the Reuter RSR 200B SDR review. Again, identical to the book, but with bigger images and bigger text. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Jaguar SDR software. Jaguar. Sorry. I'm confusing. WavView DX was the post-processing software that I've not used before. I've used Jaguar, but many years ago. And then the Kudosan DX286 review. It's basically all in there. And you can access. You can go back on your back arrow on your browser. Receiver guide, or you can just click back to that section. Here in the menu system, and then features. So there were some really good features in here. My favourite was Australia in Austria by our good friend Christopher Ratzer. That's all, and so that's all in here as well. So effectively, everything in the book is available to you on your browser. And it's actually easier to find stuff. There's a search field, so you can search for stuff. I tend not to, because it's so easy to sort of navigate all of the information. I mean, that information on the web app, and that's because I'm very familiar with the way that the information is laid out in the book, as are a lot of us. But basically, all the information is there. So even the section on how to use a WRTH. How to use a W. So that's not there, I guess, because that's only relevant to the book. World maps. We love these maps that contain the locations of all the important transmitter sites around the world. And on the web app, they're much better than in the book because they are huge. So that's great as well. So there you go. So let's go back again. What else have we got here? Most suitable. Okay, yeah. So most suitable frequencies 2026. This is the kind of annual matrix of where you're listening, where you are in the world for listening versus what you want to listen to, what bands and what times work, etc. Yeah. So it's basically all here, and then there's the information. Then there's information in terms of, so please visit, so websites for advertisers. There's Sanjin advert. So this is basically all the sort of advertisements that appear in the book. They're also on the web app. All the clubs and what have you. It's basically just all there. So if we go to radio, and then click, so we can go to, we can go national radio. So if we click national radio, the map reappears. And as I said before, you can just double click to access the information. So I've been doing a review of what's left on medium wave. So if I click Portugal, because I was trying to tune into Portugal, there's only a couple of stations going. And click Portugal on the map, and here we have antenna 1 on 630 kilohertz and 666 kilohertz and 720 kilohertz. So 3 frequencies for antenna 1, and then radio Reneseca on a couple of frequencies. On 3 frequencies. So there's only 2 stations left in Portugal broadcasting on, half a dozen frequencies, if that. On AM, on medium wave, and then there's all the FM stations listed, and then there's some national privately owned stations that are listed, etc. And all I did was click on Portugal on the map, and then there's further information. So if I click the back arrow, go back to the map, and you can literally click anywhere. So let's try Algeria. 153, chain 1, of course. 252, chain 3. Radio Algeria International on 531, that's a big station. GIL FM is a huge signal. And then lots of other Algerian stations on medium wave that I'm not aware of, at least not at the forefront of my mind. All their FM stations, of which there are many. And then there's an external service which we know about, which appears on the international radio section. Sorry, yes, that's right. Yeah, appears on the international radio section. So if I go back, click back. So let's try something out there. Let's have a look at the Falklands. So double click the Falklands. I believe there's an AM station. There is Falklands Radio in Port Stanley on 530 kilohertz. There's 4 FM signals, and then there's British Forces Radio as well. And then there is this BBC World Service apparently on 106.5 in Stanley. So there you go. And if we go a bit closer to home, I don't know, what should we go for? Malta. What we got? 999 kilohertz, Radio Malta, who are definitely still broadcasting, because I was listening to their live stream yesterday or last night and had a quick tune around on one of my radios. Couldn't hear them. They've got a couple of FM stations, public broadcast services on FM, private stations, a couple of private stations, or a few, digital radio, etc. So there you go. It's very well laid out. So if we go to international radio, you still get the map, or you can go by list. I think the same applies for national radio. Yeah, so for national radio, I didn't mention that. You can go map or you can go list. Same for international radio. You can go map or list. So on international radio, if we go back to Algeria and click Radio Ifriqiya FM, there you go, 13640 kilohertz, 13855, 15140, and 17600. So Algeria's presence on shortwave is very clear in that section. So let's go back and what should we try? Well, let's try United. Let's go back to the United Kingdom. International radio, BBC World Service, etc. And there's all the schedules in all the various languages, all listed out very clearly indeed. Piece of cake, navigating the World Radio and TV Handbook this way. Go back to the list. Let's go national. Actually, let's go national radio. We'll go back to national radio and just click Greenland. Greenland's very newsworthy at the moment. So what's the situation in Greenland? Maybe there isn't any radio station. There should be. I'm sure there is. So I'm just clicking Greenland. Okay, maybe not then. Let's go to Iceland. Okay, so nothing on Greenland. Okay, next session on radio is the what does COTB stand for? It's these are targeted stations and sort of other stuff. So let's go to what should we go to? China. Yeah, Sound of Hope Radio, etc. So this is all kind of like clandestine or targeted, but that's what it is. Clandestine or targeted broadcasting has its own separate section. So if you click China, you've got Sound of Hope Radio, Voice of Tibet, who I have copied in the past. E-Bible Fellowship, never heard of those, but there you go. Don't know whether we can go, whether there's any of this going on in, well, let's try India. So there's no clandestine or other target broadcast data for India. I'm guessing there probably is in Japan. No. Maybe I'm thinking of Taiwan. No. Anyway, you get the idea, basically. So, actually, if I click list, yeah. So if you click list, it just gives you a list of all the countries, and then if you click one, most of the you won't get a result on most of them, but you get the idea anyway. But it basically does cover clandestine and other sort of targeted broadcasting. National TV, same deal. I'm not going to bother with that. Okay, well let's give North America, the United States a quick click, and there's going to be a lot of information on here on TV broadcasting, obviously. All there. Go back to the map. Frequency list. So this is good. So in the frequency list, so this is again the same as the book. Medium wave, Europe, Africa, and Middle East. And just wait a second, and it all starts at 153 kilohertz for chain 1 and antenna satellite, and every single medium wave station for Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East is listed. And if I go to 1242 kilohertz, which is what I was listening to last night, which should be the Radio Sultanate of Oman, give that a click. There you go. You've got some web links and telephone number, etc. Same as the information in the book, effectively. So that's the frequency list for Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. And if we go back and we go East Asia and Pacific, so I think this will start with Mongolia on long wave. There you go. Mongolian Radio 1, Ulaanbaatar, 164 kilohertz, and then 209 and 227. And then same deal all the way through for East Asia and the Pacific to the end of the the end of the X band, not just the end of medium wave, but till 1701. So how cool is that? And then you've got the same for Central America, Caribbean and Mexico, South America, North America. And then shortwave stations of the world, including schedules, exactly as you would see it in the book, but a little bit more interactive. So everything on shortwave starts on 2.31 megahertz for shortwave Australia, 100 watts, 0.1 kilowatt. It starts there, and it includes all of the frequencies and the schedule timings. So basically every shortwave transmission that the guys at the Radio Data Center are aware of is listed. So you've got the entire HF schedule that you can flick backwards and forwards by dragging your mouse. So it all finishes on World Music Radio on 25.82 megahertz. And you can do a search. So if I wanted to search for Australia, he said, hopefully. Australia. Do a search for Australia and hope this works. I don't tend to use the search very much. I'm more a sort of click and scroll type of guy, but and it's taking a while. Oh, hang on, we've got an unhandled error has occurred. Okay. Okay, so that's back. Not sure what happened there. So let's do a search for Australia again. I'm doing this on a fairly old computer. Well, it's not that old. It's probably 3 or 4 years old. But it's got a solid state hard disk, so it shouldn't be labouring too much. So I'm just doing a search for Australia. What's it going to come up with? Still going? No. Okay. So it's saying an unhandled error. I'm not quite sure what all that's about, but never mind. All of the information is basically there for the whole of the shortwave broadcast bands. from start to finish, which is great. Right, let's go to the next section is reference. So, as per the book, geographical area codes are all listed. Abbreviations and symbols used in the book are all listed. International transmitter sites and target codes, again, all listed. Clubs and publications for DXers are all listed, exactly as you would see in the book. Standard time and frequency transmission, so this is all the things like the NPL on 60 kilohertz in the UK, and CHU in Ottawa on 3330 and 7850, etc. The details for all of those are listed. And then international organisations, so this is international broadcasting organisations, etc. They're all listed in the book and they're in the web app. Selected internet sources, they're all listed as well, and there's a couple of really good ones in there. I won't say any more than that. Hi. And then an advertiser's index with links, so if you see anything of interest, you can go straight, through the web app, you can go straight to their website. There's excuse me, information on how to use the web app, which is basically takes you through to the RDC website, and then there's some product settings, etc. So that's basically it. So that is the World Radio and TV Handbook operation explained in a few minutes. When we were on the frequency list and I did the search for Australia on Shortwave, it kind of hung, but that might be something to do with the amount of resources I've got available on this computer. But I mean, I really don't use the search very much anyway, but it's there if you do want to use it. So that's it. So basically you've got all the information that you get in the book on your laptop or your computer screen. It's very easily accessible. I particularly like the feature for national international radio where you can click on any country on the map and it will take you straight to the information for that country. Just going to click on North Korea while I'm here. And I'll double click it. So in terms of recalling information, it's actually quicker and easier to do it on the web app than it is on the book. And if you wear glasses like me, it's certainly a lot easier to see it. So yeah, all in all, it's just it's a great piece of software. I'm not going to lie. I always try to tell the truth. I would prefer to be looking forward to receiving a book at Christmas 2026. That almost certainly isn't happening. And I'm going to work with the web app for 2027, obviously, because, fundamentally, yes, it's nice to have the book in your hand, but what this is all about really is the information that we need as DXers to make sure that we fully understand and identify and understand what we're listening to. And none of that has changed. And there are, as I've said, a number of benefits to using your computer, particularly in terms of how quickly you can recall information, how easy it is to sort of skip between sections. It's very, very easy indeed. So I really like it, and it's only because I'm sort of older that I just prefer a book. But if this is what's available, I'll absolutely take it with open arms because, fundamentally, it's the same information, obviously just in a format that's commercially viable. And at the end of the day, we have to be grateful to Gunter and the guys for continuing to support the WRTH, notwithstanding how much we're going to miss having another book on our bookshelf in the shack. So, I'm very grateful. I hope you guys feel the same way. Anyway, that actually went pretty well. I was half expecting to not find some sections or for it not to work, but it all actually works really well. And I recommend that, if I think the book is sold out now, I highly recommend that anyone who's serious about listening to shortwave and AM DXing, medium wave DXing, purchases the web app for the WRTH 2026. The next review is going to be the ebook, which is again the exact same information but in a different digital format. I don't use ebooks, so it's a bit new to me, but I know a lot of people that do. Those of you that already read ebooks will probably prefer that platform to this. I don't know. The beauty of this is that obviously it's transferable. You log into your account and you can access the WRTH from any computer, which is, again, very, very useful. So anyway, I hope that was useful for you guys. Look forward to reading your comments on the channel. So thanks for watching, and 7-3.